You've said yes to Farm Stew this year. After the uncertainty, pain, and loss of 2020, we began 2021 knowing that the Farm Stew message and methodology was for such a time as this. I asked you, our Farm Stew family, to make 2021 the year of yes. And you did, and I'm so grateful. And because you did, together, we said yes to pastors in South Sudan, like Isaiah Ok, who desperately wanted to protect his flock from famine. Your yes equipped 17 lay leaders who in turn have trained thousands to prevent hunger. You said yes to our refugee teams who equipped families like Samson's to harvest more than ever. And he is committed to helping others in his camp and beyond to prevent dependency. You said yes to communities that need clean water and are willing to work for it by spinning the head of the village drill deep into the earth through human power to prevent the drudgery of hauling water and the disease that comes from unclean sources of it. You said yes to almost 5,000 girls who were given menstrual hygiene packs, and yes to 1,400 families who have had their first ever safe latrine. These yeses have provided freedom from shame. You said yes to translating and then training Bible workers in Cuba, even though we couldn't physically get there. Through technology, we gather each week with 40 of them who are now in turn cultivating idle land and sharing both vegetable seeds and the Farm Stew recipe. You said yes to universities in Africa who are now teaching Farm Stew as part of their curriculum in a partnership with a young missionary couple who said, yes, I will go. They could say yes to go because you said yes to allow Farm Stew to grow. Thank you. As I reflect on the year, I could list many, many more yeses. God is faithful, and you, dear Farm Stew family, have been faithful too. It would be tempting, then, to rest on these laurels of accomplishments. But with God, we know that although we say yes to rest each Sabbath day, for the other 6 days of the week, we are commanded to labor and work. In prayer, I've been led to Abraham, who by faith was counted as righteous. Abraham said yes to crazy things like leaving Ur, entertaining angels, and ultimately bringing his son, his only beloved son, up a lonely mountain trail, ready to make the ultimate sacrifice, saying yes to God through anguish. And yet God provided the ultimate yes. Abraham's yeses were in the context of the total unknown. He had no path before him showing the way. He had no earthly sanctuary, no temple, and no synagogue. I've asked myself, how and why could he do it? How could he stretch that far out of his comfort zone? Why was Abraham's faith so strong that even though he failed, ultimately, despite the unknown, he was considered a friend of God? I believe the answer was that Abraham clung to the promise that stretched Abraham's definition of family far beyond his own. In God's very first interaction with Abraham, then called Abram, God said, "Get out of your country, from your family." Wow, what a stretch to leave your family. But a few lines later, God said something very important. He said, "In you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abraham set out to Canaan on a mission statement not too different from that of Farm Stew. He didn't have a clue what it would mean, but from that point forward, he was a man on a mission to bless families, all the families on the earth. Are we not the spiritual children of Abraham, who through faith are called to the same mission? Does that seem like a stretch? Like an impossible task? Just remember, nothing is impossible through God, through Christ who strengthens us. I believe 2022 will be a year of stretch for us as a Farm Stew family. We are called to bring freedom to families, but how and why? One of my favorite authors asked these questions, and now I ask you. Do you believe the declarations of His Word concerning what is coming upon the world? Do you believe God's judgments are hanging over the inhabitants of the earth? How then can you sit at ease, careless, and indifferent? Wow, strong words. Rather than sit at ease, I believe we are called to stretch. Elsewhere, the author says this: time is short, and our forces must be organized to do a larger work. Laborers are needed who comprehend the greatness of the work and who will engage in it, not for the wages they receive, but from a realization of the nearness of the end. The time, now, demands greater efficiency and deeper consecration. Oh, I am so full of this subject that I cry to God, raise up and send forth messengers filled with a sense of their responsibility, messengers in whose hearts self-idolatry, which lies at the foundation of all sin, has been crucified. Again, rather than sit at ease, we are called to be messengers who, because they have crucified self, can live for others. And rather than sit at ease, one last quote, there's a clear call to stretch. The work that lies before us is one that will put to the stretch every power of the human being. It will call for the exercise of strong faith and constant vigilance. At times, the difficulties that we shall meet will be most disheartening. The very greatness of the task will appall us, and yet with God's help, His servants will finally triumph. Do you want to triumph? Do you want to be a friend of God? Then, Farm Stew family, like Abraham, will you allow yourselves to be stretched to the missional calling to bless all the families of the earth? If you stretch, then we can stretch. We can stretch our Farm Stew trainers into new communities. We can stretch arms of love around girls that feel shame. We can stretch our muscles, pushing a drill deep into the earth to get fresh water. And we can stretch to share our life-giving recipe out to the world. Farm Stew's capacity to stretch happens one gift at a time. You can respond right now by going to farmstew.org and clicking the purple button that says Donate. Our stewardship of your gift is the most important thing to Farm Stew as we serve as a conduit for your blessings for all the families of the earth. I'll close with Paul's words to the Galatians. As we therefore have the opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. Galatians 6:10. We pray that you will visit our website, farmstew.org, and stretch today with your generous gift. God bless you.